这边就是福建福州平潭。
This is Pingtan, Fuzhou, Fujian. It's a little past 8 a.m. This is a live video and the scene is quite unexpected. Hello everyone, I'm Shai Baizi, a young man from Ningbo, Zhejiang. I didn't expect Pingtan to be so quiet this morning. There are hardly any people at the bus stops and not many cars at the intersections. The shops are all closed and only a few are open, so it seems like there's no one here. It's all closed, nobody's around. The architecture, the roofs and stuff still have some of the characteristics and styles of Fujian and Taiwan. Why is Pingtan so poor? It's only about 80 kilometers from Fuzhou City, but the gap between rich and poor feels like 5,000 kilometers. Why are young people leaving Pingtan in waves? What happened to our beautiful Pingtan? It feels so desolate. Pingtan's GDP is always among the lowest in the province. Is it that young people in Pingtan really don't want to stay? Don't they like staying in their hometown? I think not, but there are simply too few job opportunities. It's mostly food delivery, courier services, insurance, or supermarket cashier jobs. Even the previously high-paying car and real estate sales industries are now transforming. Good, stable jobs are simply out of reach for ordinary people. Even getting a so-called government job in a street-level government office is incredibly competitive. The People's Republic of China and the Republic of China Taiwan are two separate regimes, but the CCP has always dreamed of acquiring Taiwan. For this dream, the CCP has been relentlessly striving. The effort to develop Pingtan City in China into an experimental zone is part of the scheme, but it now appears to have completely failed, with the island becoming an empty town. In this video, we'll examine how this experimental zone, into which the CCP invested heavily, has resulted in utter failure. Let's first look at Taiwan right now. Hundreds of people rallied in central Taipei on May 23rd this year in support of government plans to increase defense spending, after the opposition-controlled parliament approved only 2/3 of the 40 billion President Lai Ching-te had requested. Lai wanted a supplementary defense budget approved, including money for US arms, but also for domestically made equipment such as drones to increase deterrence against China, which views the island as its own territory. But Taiwan's opposition, which has the most seats in parliament, passed its own version of the spending package, and only for US arms, saying the government proposals were unclear and could lead to corruption. The Taipei protesters waved flags and shouted slogans in support of defense spending. The Communist Party kept harassing Taiwan with its fighter jets, adding a lot of stress on our military. To protect our sovereignty, we need to give them the best weapons to protect Taiwan and Asia Pacific. This is the responsible thing to do. Only if we have the strength and capability, then can we have national defense, security, and peace. This is very simple logic. I hope the US president will take action. He must do it. We are not afraid of them, China, attack us, but we need to show them it will take a lot of effort to take us over. Using words and military drills will not scare the Taiwanese. We need to have a strong will to stand against them, and so China will think that if they want to attack Taiwan, they need to get us in one go. And China is well aware that if they launch an attack on Taiwan, they will face international condemnation. Pingtan Island, located on the eastern coast of Fujian Province, is China's 5th largest island, only 68 nautical miles from Hsinchu Port in Taiwan. In 2009, the CCP designated this island as the Pingtan Comprehensive Experimental Zone, and introduced many policies to attract Taiwanese businessmen to invest in the island. In 2022, the CCP further designated Pingtan as a cross-strait integrated development experimental zone, attempting to create a model area for comprehensive economic, cultural, and social exchanges, demonstrating the feasibility of one country, two systems to Taiwanese society. Beijing has invested over US $20 billion in large-scale infrastructure construction and offered incentives such as tax breaks and housing subsidies to attract Taiwanese to invest, reside, and even participate in grassroots governance. This plan is seen as a significant shift in the CCP's United Front policy, aiming to use Pingtan as a window to deepen cross-strait integration and dispel Taiwanese society's doubts about the CCP. Today, I'm visiting the small Taiwanese town in Pingtan County to see what's special about it. There are quite a few out-of-town cars parked here. It looks like free parking, and the parking environment is pretty good. I'll check out the shopping situation later. Shopping the world without leaving the country. These slogans are quite distinctive. When traveling to Pingtan, don't miss Aoqian Taiwan Town. Located in the southeast of Pingtan Island, facing Taiwan across the sea, it's a unique cultural and tourism town integrating market shopping, leisure, and cultural experiences. My least favorite city is Pingtan, a remote island, underdeveloped infrastructure, harsh windy weather, and seaweed and plastic bottles always floating on Longfang Tau Beach. During holidays, driving from Tongcheng Town to the Bibu Gulf can take 2 hours due to traffic jams. Guest houses with prices tripling during peak season even have unreliable hot water supplies. The ring road is riddled with cracks from sea wind erosion. It's supposed to be a frontline window to Taiwan. Aside from the blue tears phenomenon, there's really nothing memorable about it. This is what I saw online about Pingtan. During the nearly 2 decades, a key tactic of the CCP in its broader Taiwan policy framework has been using economic incentives to win over the Taiwanese people. The signing of the Cross-Strait Economic Cooperation Framework Agreement (ECFA) in 2008 is considered a significant turning point in cross-strait economic and trade relations. With the agreement's implementation, Taiwanese companies quickly enjoyed tariff preferences and economic subsidies provided by the CCP, leading to a substantial increase in Taiwan's total exports to mainland China between 2010 and 2012. In 2011, the CCP launched a policy of agricultural and fishery product cooperation between mainland China and Taiwan. The CCP hoped to reduce intermediary exploitation and allow grassroots fishermen to experience economic benefits from mainland China. In 2014, the sunflower movement erupted in Taiwan. The strong resistance from the Taiwanese people to the Cross-Strait Service Trade Agreement not only stalled the agreement but also prompted a re-evaluation of the CCP's United Front policy towards Taiwan. Against this backdrop, the CCP launched a new strategy focusing on small and medium-sized enterprises, low and middle-income earners, central and southern Taiwan, and Taiwanese youth. It attempted to build emotional economic ties through economic subsidies, entrepreneurial support, and youth exchanges. On the one hand, the CCP's related policies were quite successful. They successfully divided Taiwan's political forces. The Kuomintang KMT, Taiwan's century-old party, practically became the CCP's mouthpiece in Taiwan. The island's population is severely divided into pro-CCP and anti-CCP factions. However, Taiwan's youth remained clear-headed, especially seeing the fate of Hong Kong. They took action, chanting the slogan, "Today Hong Kong, tomorrow Taiwan." They traveled extensively, telling the people of Taiwan, "The CCP is so cruel even to its own people." After the CCP successfully seized Taiwan, becoming a piece of land under CCP rule, what reason could the CCP possibly have to be more friendly and kinder to the Taiwanese? The utmost concern for people is the psychological warfare launched by the Kuomintang and Taiwan People's Party that might prompt some people or undecided voters to think, "It's not too bad if our country is ruled by China." The spread of this ideology worries me. In fact, even more than a decade ago during Pingtan's golden age, Taiwanese people who came here were morally contaminated. In 2011, an insider revealed to overseas Chinese media that prostitution, gambling, drugs, and corruption were rampant in this experimental zone. For example, the Blue Ocean Royal View International Spa in Pingtan was actually a high-end prostitution den. Its premises were hidden in a mezzanine between the first and second floors. During this process, some Taiwanese businessmen suffered losses due to contract performance issues, leading to a decline in their trust in the mainland Chinese market. In recent years, as the allure of mainland China's economic dividends has gradually weakened, more Taiwanese SMEs have found, after deepening cooperation, that the mainland Chinese market is not as stable as they had imagined, and instead faces more challenges due to policy uncertainty and fierce competition. As a result, the Pingtan experimental zone quickly ran into difficulties. With the slowdown in mainland China's economic growth, investors gradually lost confidence in Pingtan. In 2023, Pingtan's economic growth rate was only 3%, far lower than Fujian province's 4.5%. Many companies withdrew their investments, and the originally planned industrial parks and commercial districts gradually became vacant, becoming a typical symbol of vanity projects. We are arriving in Haitan Ancient City in Pingtan Island. Looking at the entire ancient city, it is completely desolate, utterly desolate. No one is there, no shops. The entire ancient city is very large.
整个古城规模很大。
Haitan Ancient City is beautifully built. The structure and house layouts are excellent, but there's no business. There are still small restaurants and noodle shops, but no one is eating there. There's nothing we can do about it.
没办法。
My fellow guest house owners, could you promise me that you can compete, but not too fiercely? This year, my guest house didn't get many bookings on the platform, so I started making videos, and finally 13 tourists inquired. But the saddest story is that I didn't close a single deal. Business this year has been really tough. If this hadn't happened last year, I would have closed at least 8 deals. Some tourists have specific requirements for the rooms. One advantage of my guest house is its proximity to Long Wang Tao Beach, only a 5-minute walk away, and there's a food street downstairs. The environment envisioned by the CCP for Taiwanese people to live and interact in large groups has not materialized as expected. Pingtan's attractiveness to Taiwanese businessmen has declined significantly due to concerns about policy implementation and a deteriorating market environment. Furthermore, cross-strait tensions continue to escalate during this period, particularly with the PLA's frequent military exercises around the Taiwan Strait, further deepening Taiwanese society's distrust of the CCP. This hardline military intimidation directly eroded Taiwanese public trust in the Pingtan experiment, significantly offsetting the effects of economic incentives. As a result, we saw Taiwanese businessmen withdrawing from Pingtan in droves. They showed no sign of wanting to return. The catering industry has now become a high-risk industry. The closure rate in 2025 is between 3 million and 3.5 million, which is more than 10,000 closing down every day. I just learned about this data and I'm shocked. New stores are closing down even faster. For example, most of the stores from last year are no longer there. Especially in Pingtan, the peak and off seasons are very distinct. So before the peak season, many stores are open. But after the National Day holiday, you can even see stores that had long queues in the summer closing down. Has anyone noticed? Once the Lantern Festival is over, Pingtan suddenly becomes quiet. The streets are less crowded and shops are sparsely populated. Sometimes I don't know if I should sit or stand. I spend all day scrolling through my phone, feeling empty inside. These days just feel particularly unbearable. Actually, I know everyone is struggling and anxious. However, the off-season is the time when we mustn't panic, and we absolutely cannot let things stagnate. The poor economic performance of Pingtan not only reflects the failure of the Pingtan experimental zone policy, but also reveals the CCP's misjudgment of the Taiwanese social psychology, especially its neglect of the Taiwanese people's insistence on democratic and free values, leading to a serious disconnect between policy implementation and objectives. Beyond the economic level, distrust at the cultural and political levels is even more evident. Looking to the future, Pingtan's transformation from a place that once attracted Taiwanese residents and businesses to its current state of vacant factories and abandoned commercial districts undeniably reveals the failures of its policies. Let's take a stroll through Pingtan's Taiwan town. This old Taiwanese town is quite desolate. There's a duty-free shop up ahead. We can take a look. This Taiwan town is fairly large, but there aren't many people. Look at the entrance to Pingtan No. 1 duty-free mall. I don't know what to buy. A lot of fish cakes. I don't know what else to eat. There's nothing good to eat. Do you know how difficult it is to find a job in Pingtan right now? Many people are unemployed and lost, not knowing what to do at home. The once bustling streets are now deserted, and everywhere you look there are signs for renting or transferring storefronts. Everyone should have clearly felt that low barrier to entry industries like food delivery, errand running, and ride-hailing drivers are already saturated. Many people in Pingtan work in tunnel construction or shipping. Because of the poor economic climate, these industries are also struggling. Young people in Pingtan who want to stay in their hometown and find good jobs have very limited options. As a result, many of my friends, classmates, and relatives choose to work elsewhere. Before the bridge was built, getting off the island was extremely difficult. We had to take a bus, then take a ferry. Now the bridge is open, but industry is slow to come. Besides tourism and traditional fishing, there aren't many industries that can truly support the economy. Pingtan's tourism industry is developing well, but the peak and off-seasons are too distinct, leading to unstable income. Frankly, the economic structure is too singular. It relies solely on tourism. The infrastructure isn't as good as Fuzhou's either. Houses are simply not selling these days. If new home developers don't lower prices or run promotions, the sales offices are deserted. For second-hand homes, it's normal to see a price drop of $15,000 to $30,000. Some old, dilapidated condos are being slashed to the bone, and even after cutting prices in half, no one is even looking at them. Nowadays, many homeowners are even selling their properties with the finishes and their down payments, but still, no one is buying. Let me ask you a question. Do you still have the confidence to buy a home in Pingtan? I've been selling properties in Pingtan for 12 years, and this year my most direct feeling is that homes are becoming increasingly difficult to sell. To be honest, it wasn't easy to sell last year, nor the year before, but this year it's really even more difficult. Actually, as we all know, houses in many places have already fallen to rock-bottom prices. They're very cheap, but why is it that the cheaper they are, the fewer people are buying? Do you really think people don't want to buy? Or are they really holding on to their money and waiting to see what happens? Actually, neither is correct. The real core reason is that people don't have the money in their pockets. Looking back at the more than 30 years that Pingtan Island has gone through, we can see that even though some Taiwanese people have gone to Pingtan to work or invest due to policy incentives, their actual level of integration and political identification has not improved as a result. These CCP policies have consistently failed to bridge the value gap between democracy and freedom and between authoritarianism. Their contradictory approach, employing both economic concessions and military intimidation, has further deepened the Taiwanese people's distrust of one country, two systems. Clearly, the core of the cross-strait issues lies in the irreconcilable differences in political systems and values, rather than a simple exchange of economic interests. When the CCP fails to understand or respect this, no matter how its policies are adjusted or how many concessions are increased, it cannot gain Taiwan's acceptance. Ultimately, the vacant factories and withdrawn businesses in the Pingtan experimental zone serve as a stark reflection of this strategy's failure. As a restaurant owner, seeing these things is shocking. Some shops could earn almost $100,000 during peak season, but now they're closing down one after another. I dare say that the industry's ceiling for competition in recent years is definitely the catering sector, because 3 million restaurants close down every year. Now I'll show you how many shops that were once highly sought after have now closed down. This was a very popular seaside restaurant, which could seat over 100 people at its peak. Look at how desolate it is now, not a soul in sight. Hotel and guest house owners in Pingtan, have you noticed a heartbreaking problem? Despite the increasing number of tourists in the past 2 years, business has become increasingly difficult. You're busy every day, but at the end of the year, you haven't made any money. Why is this? Because the guest house market in Pingtan is too saturated, leading to a bottomless price war among competitors. Rent, labor, and other costs are rising steadily, while room rates are constantly dropping. All your hard work to get bookings ends up being for nothing. Even more frustrating are the high commissions charged by traditional platforms and various hidden fees. If you don't buy traffic, you'll be restricted or penalized, meaning your hard-earned profits are essentially going to the platform. That's all for today. If you enjoy our content, please give us a thumbs up, subscribe, leave a comment, or share it with a friend. We appreciate your support, and we'll see you next time.